Well, hello there and welcome back. This is episode 56 of my Minecraft 1.16 Let's Play. So it's finally time to build a shulker farm. So I discussed with the viewers some time ago at this point the possibility of using a data pack or a mod to make shulkers respawnable. I've already ground out at least 1,300 shulker boxes the old-fashioned way, and there's a limit to how far vanilla will take me as far as shulker boxes go, and I think it'd be a lot more interesting if we actually do use the mod. We're going to use carpetmod to make shulkers respawnable. So what we needed, we did it in a live stream. We figured out what we wanted to build as far as a shulker farm goes. And you can see Asta flying by. He actually just removed the boat that was over there. And we need one of these tall structures right here. There's two different versions of this kind of structure. There's one that's shorter and one that's tall. And we need one that's tall. And this one is only a few thousand blocks away from the main end island. And this is a pretty small end city, but it has one of these large structures because we actually need to tear down the entire structure here of this whole end city. We don't want the shulkers spawning anywhere else except inside our farm. So that's what we got to do first. We got to get rid of this whole end city here. Alright, with that out of the way, it's time to build this farm. This farm is based on a farm by Technical Aspect that somebody in my Discord sent to me, and I just thought it was a really cool farm. We kind of built our own version of it, but we used a lot of the ideas that Technical Aspect came up with. We largely just made ours a little bit bigger, so we've got more spawning platforms. We've got 2 rail platforms instead of just 1, and his farm did about 12k per hour, and this one does 14 to 15k per hour. It's totally unnecessary, but it was fun building it nonetheless. So the principle behind this thing is that the shulkers will spawn on the white concrete here, and because there is a block right above their head, they don't want to stay on that white concrete. They want to teleport, and we've only given them a few blocks that they can teleport to. They can only teleport onto this glass over here, and we've got hopper minecarts, regular minecarts and hopper minecarts in a stack here coming back and forth. And so the regular minecarts will actually pick them up, and because the stack is 24 minecarts already, they will immediately start entry cramming. And then there are a couple hopper minecarts in there, and those will actually pick up the items, and then they will drop off the items right here. It's a really simple premise, but it's kind of awesome. And it's really, really fast, especially because we've controlled, there's no mobs that can spawn. We took out the entire end city. We're way up at the top. My AFK spot is way up there, which is where the items are being sent. And so nothing else can spawn except for in this end city. So they just come in really fast, and you can see how fast it's killing them, spitting out the items. It's crazy. I was AFKing. I've been AFKing since we finished up this farm. I had to go do something else, and I've been AFKing for a few hours, and the amount of items this thing is output is just ludicrous. I've never seen so many shulker shells in my whole life. We can look in this chest right here. Yeah, that's a lot of shulker shells. So it does about 7 shulkers full of shulker shells per hour. So I've been AFK for a few hours here, but yeah, that is a crazy farm. So I totally appreciate the fact that this will likely have a pretty large impact on the balance of our server. And I've never been a fan of tutorials for shulker-based storage systems that pretend like shulkers are this infinite resource, and they don't really work very well for people who don't have an infinite number of shulkers. And I will do my best to avoid doing that. But at the same time, I've probably already killed 3 to 4 times more shulkers than most players will ever kill in Minecraft. And a lot of what I'm already doing isn't super practical for the regular everyday user. And I think that's kind of some of the charm of jCraft in general, is the over the topness. And I think this is kind of the next step. And I think this will be a lot of fun. I think it will open a lot of doors and possibilities of things that we can do. But I will try to stay as grounded as possible whenever possible. But at the same time, like, I mean, the point of this is to have fun with it as well. So we'll see what if we can do both. But you know, I do appreciate that this does change things quite a bit. So I ended up AFKing here overnight, actually quite a bit longer than just overnight, and I am nearing 3 double chests filled with shulker boxes, filled with shulker shells. This is something like 130,000 shulker boxes that this will craft, which is going to require quite a lot of wood. And this is probably a lifetime supply. We'll see. There are some pretty big ideas that I have of things that I can do with this, but this is a darn lot of shulker boxes. And if you look over here, this is actually pretty satisfying to watch this go up, because it goes up at pretty close to double speed. It's not perfectly double speed. There's some breaks in the action, but it's still really satisfying to just watch the shulker boxes go up. And also, one last thing I'd like to add is that because of the nature of the 24 minecarts that are sitting on top of each other, if you leave the area while those are running back and forth, they'll separate from each other. So in order to do that, we made it so you basically have to stand on this pressure plate, and that's the only way that the machine is on, and that'll actually power the rails down there. And it's fine for me to step on and off it and everything like that, but I just can't leave the area while it's on, so you actually have to stand here in order for it to operate. And that's why I made it so that like basically everything's within reach here. You can sit here and actually watch it go up, which is a lot of fun. And you can, you know, craft new ones. And yeah, this is a very cool farm. It's going to take a few trips in order to bring all those shulker shells back from the end. I've brought the first load, and I've come here to the obsidian bank where we had some ideas of some things that we wanted to do now that we've got a completely ridiculous number of shulker boxes. And the first step to that is getting all of the obsidian out of those chests up there and putting them into shulker boxes. So I'm actually going to double up the chest down here, so that we've got plenty of storage down at the bottom. This probably still isn't going to be enough. We're probably still going to have to come back, clear them out, and then do it all over again. This is probably going to take some time, so we're probably not going to do anything specific with this episode, but I want to at least get this process started. I don't have an axe on me, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'm going to set all these up with tons and tons of shulker boxes. I've got a decent number of chests here, but this probably isn't even going to be close to enough. So let's craft up a bunch of shulker boxes, load up all these loaders here. We actually, for this specific type of loader, we got to place one. Let's craft some more. Might as well start the process at all of them here. That one should be, yep, there we go. Yeah, so that's all it's gonna take me a few minutes to set all this up, and then like I said, it's probably gonna take, I don't know, it might even take a few days for all these to empty out. So in the very near future, we're gonna change around the way that everything is stored in here so that we can store even more, because now we can store them all in shulker boxes. So we might actually be able to store more different types of items. I actually want to have the shulker shells themselves in a row here, that we can come here and grab shulker boxes full of shulker shells if that's what we want. And then as we get other excess amounts of items of different things, we can load those up into other rows. And this will be like a big bulk storage for the server of items that we have a whole bunch of. So that should be pretty cool. I mentioned an issue last episode with this tree farm right here where when I was AFKing and I was holding down the button, it was actually pointing me at a dropper from time to time, and that was interrupting my AFK sessions. And I realized these are actually dispensers right here, so it's got to be either these droppers back here, or I think there's droppers underneath this, and the dirt block actually moves out of the way. But I actually ended up finding out a fix for this. So initially I was standing right here because there's just trapdoors behind me. They don't crush me or anything like that. And this works for the most part. This works fine, but the problem I was having is that you don't end up collecting all the items that are spat out of this dropper, which are saplings. And when you're dealing with jungle trees, which jungle is the most efficient tree type for this farm, then you really need to make sure that you get all those saplings back. See, so if I was AFKing, I wouldn't end up getting these saplings right here. I would eventually run out of saplings, and I wouldn't be able to AFK anymore. So my first idea was to put a slab down there to kind of push those items up to me. And originally I was standing right here in between the two blocks, and this still works. But I realized I can actually just stand on the slab itself, and then I can hold the button down, and I don't seem to be having the dropper problem at all. I actually AFK'd this for quite a while. I do get moved around by the leaves every once in a while, but it doesn't seem to stop me from AFKing. So I ended up grabbing 2 rows here of jungle logs and then another row right here. So quite a lot of wood that will definitely help support my new shulker box habit. Not nearly enough for all the shulker boxes we've collected, but it's a darn good start. And that other tree farm that we're planning on making, hopefully in the next episode, we'll see what happens, but that other tree farm should help quite a bit as well. But very nice to have this tree farm working again. I think it's finally time to clean up the end here. I've got a design planned for a ring walkway that's going to go through all of these portals here and give us some easier access to go through them. Now, I know there's not a lot of reason to go back to the Shulker Farm, but my honey farm is through that one right there, and we've got some other ideas planned that we might put in the end. So it might be nice if we can get in and out of those portals a little easier. Also, I left all this water here, and the plan is to cover this with the white glass instead. So I've got a bunch of glass with me. I don't think I have enough materials to do either of these things completely. I need to trade a bunch of quartz to do the full ring. I've got 2 shulker boxes of quartz with me right now, and that should be enough to get me started, but it's not going to get me all the way through it. And then I've got 4 shulker boxes of the glass. I doubt that's going to cover this whole island here, but we'll see what happens. I'll just do what I can, and then we can always come back to this in the near future, but I want to at least get it started. Alright, so I got this area cleaned up quite a bit. I got rid of the shulker queue system that I had over here. I don't think I'm going to end up using that again no matter what. And then I also got rid, we had the obsidian farm over here where it was at the end platform and there were a whole bunch of chests that fed snowballs down to it. And it was a whole big mess because the withers got out and they blew up half of it. And so I got rid of all that. We've still got this rail that runs from one of the far end islands. That actually runs 1,000 blocks, so I'm not quite ready to get rid of that just yet. But I got rid of everything else, and I also got rid of all the water. So the water was added when I was killing a wither with my rail cannon up there, and I wanted the mobs to not spawn in the area. And that was a pretty bad idea because you can't really take off with your rockets if there's water. There's just a pain to wade in it and stuff like that, and I created a big old mess. The plan is to replace it all with glass, and I still kind of like not having Endermen around. They're pretty annoying to deal with. So I'd like to just do that for the whole area, but I kind of ran out of glass, and I also ran out of quartz over here for this build right here, which I think is working pretty well. I'm going for like a futuristic motif in the end. I think anything I build in the end, which I've got a couple other things planned, I want to go for like a futuristic theme. And I'm out of rockets, aren't I? I'm going to have to go grab some rockets out of my chest over here. But yeah, that's what I kind of want to go with, and I think it's kind of working. I think this is, I think it looks pretty nice and futuristic. It's pretty cool. The idea is that I want to get rid of these bedrock blocks here, so we can just fly down and just walk right into these portals. For now, we can like just kind of like dip fly like that to get into the portals. But I also want to mark them somehow. I'm not sure exactly how. I want to mark them for what's inside of each portal and stuff like that. But this is a pretty good start, and like I said, it's going to take me quite a bit more. This took me about 5 hours to build, plus all the cleanup that I did over here, which 5 hours isn't too bad, but this is only a quarter of it, so it's about a 20-hour build, which is pretty big. But the real problem is that this section took up 3 shulker boxes of quartz blocks, so I'm out of quartz right now. I'm definitely going to have to get some more before I do this again. And we also got these redstone lamps on the outside, and those actually work. We've got an observer chain that runs through the middle. And if I update that observer chain over here, I think it's this block right here, and we fly over, we can see that the lights just kind of like go off in a chain. I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of a waste of CPU resources, but it's pretty cool. I think it adds to the futuristic motif to have some motion going. And we can actually, when the loop is built, the full loop, it will actually just run continuously. I think that's pretty cool as well. I used what I'm pretty sure is a fairly new feature of Mini HUD in order to create these rings. So if I open up Mini HUD, you can see I've got these holographic circles here. And to create these, you can go into the Mini HUD configuration, which by default is H and C. And under the Shapes tab, you've got this drop down here, and you can select a few of them. It used to just be despawn sphere, but now you got circle and sphere and a couple other ones as well. So you can like select circle and then add a shape. I've already added a couple of them. And if you go in and configure one, once you've added them, 0.5, 0.5 is the dead center of the end portal. It's always at 0, 0. And it goes from 0, 0 to 1, 1. So the dead center of it is 0.5, 0.5. And then the radius 97 is the radius. This is this ring right here that runs straight through all these portals. You can actually see that it runs, all the portals are contained inside of this ring right here. It just took a little guessing and checking to find this out. And another setting that you can see here is if you go in here, I've set it to full block. I think the default is inner edge or outer edge. I'm not sure which one is the default, but when you've got it on full block, you can actually see the full block. These ones are edges right here. So I took that 97 and I put one 5 less and 5 more. And that's where I place my solid blocks, and then I place my stairs on the other side of it. And this works pretty well. I actually did make a template in Lightmatica for this, but I made an octant of it, and then I copied it, and it ended up being imperfect. So I actually did this in vanilla. I used these rings right here, and I used the template as like a design pattern, but I actually didn't really use the template to build it block by block. I used these rings here to place the blocks, and then I ran it like that from there. But this is definitely a very cool feature. I'm glad this is here now. So like I said, this is going to take quite a bit of quartz. It took me 3 shulker boxes of quartz to make this quadrant. So it's going to take me about 12 shulker boxes of quartz for this full thing. And I'm currently out, and trading it with villagers for that much is a very slow process. So I think I'm going to use bartering to get the rest of it. I'm going to need quite a bit of gold in order to do that, which is actually a pretty good segue to an update on our gold farm. So we ended up figuring out a fix for the gold farm. We were testing it out, and we were trying to figure out where the new portal needed to be, and we figured out that it actually only needed to be 1 chunk kitty corner from the old portal. So super duper close, not that big of a deal at all, well within despawn range, and the fact that it was so close meant that we didn't have to go to any extra steps for item management. All these chunks are just loaded just because of the way it's all set up. So, I mean, it looks a little ridiculous now because we set up all these portals first. Technically, you wouldn't need these portals right here, but, I mean, you actually do kind of need them in order to keep the items loaded. I actually had the idea, if it hadn't worked out this way, that we could have taken the zombie flesh and spit them through portals from time to time to keep the area loaded, but that didn't end up being necessary. You can see it's still the outside portals that work the most, but you know, we still get a decent distribution through all of them. We got items, pigmen coming through all of them, and everything's working great. And I've been AFKing for about an hour, and the amount of gold that we've got coming through here is ridiculous. It's going to take a lot of work to craft it, but we can see here in this, the dispenser's full, the hopper above it's full, and the chest is over half full in an hour. This thing is completely ridiculous. We are still getting the full 100,000 gold nuggets per hour. And I put a ridiculous, we actually bumped up the chest storage for all the empty shulker boxes. I put a shulker box full of shulker shells with about 850 shulker boxes in this system. That should support about 14 to 16 hours of AFKing at the system, and it would probably take us about that long to craft all those gold into gold blocks. But I love this farm. I just love watching this over here. This is my favorite part right here. It's just raining pigmen. Well, since I'm in a roll on fixing things, I might as well finish up this right here. I did not have any ideas for dealing with the guys that are holding items that are not counting towards the mob cap. I don't have any way of getting rid of them or getting rid of their items or anything like that. So I'm just going to add another cell with 15 more villagers, and that should do the trick. And I'm not going to be able to get some zombies to spawn because this is eating up all the mob cap. So I'm going to have to move one from this cell over into this one. And then I'm going to come up another block on the roof before I drop them off. So that way I can remove all the blocks that are on the roof. And I should be able to catch them without them falling down and landing in with the zombies. And then I shouldn't end up with any extra zombie villagers that are holding items. I hope. Someone mentioned in the comments a couple episodes ago that they improved the logic behind villagers and workstations in 1.16.2, and I'm actually finding that to be the case. These guys are picking up their jobs pretty quickly. Of course, just as I go to record it, this guy doesn't take a job, but there he goes. Yeah, it's working pretty well. I don't know why I was having trouble in the nether in my last episode, because we were in 1.16.2 when I was doing that, and I'm not sure what was happening there, but my base is where it really matters, because I was worried I was going to have to move this building because like nothing was working anymore. And it not working in the nether is fine by me. I'm happy to just do it all here and then send them off to the nether. This works just fine for me, and I'm happy that this is working better. Do have to break workstations from time to time, but yeah, working just fine. All right, I got one more cell created and all the zombies are loaded into it. I checked in a copy world and we're dealing with a mob cap of 149, which gives me a nice little buffer. We just need 141 to cover 2 players. And then the idea up here is that I've raised this up a block so that this block right here, this stone block, is the only one I need to worry about falling down onto them. So I need to remove the observer first, because otherwise if I hit that string, it'd move the stone block. But I can remove everything around this stone block first. The other problem is the last time I did this, I wasn't really careful because I didn't care if I got all the items. Like I didn't need to save them all, but I wasn't thinking about zombies picking them up. So this is all pretty safe. And then I just need to go in and stand as close to this block as possible and collect it like that, and then I'll have to grab another block and put it on top of there. But that should be a safe way to remove this. Again, remove the observer first, and then everything else around the stone block, and that should keep them from picking up the items. So we should be good now. So that's all the time I have for this episode. I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you again real soon. Bye now.